What is up, you guys? Red Rem here. Today, this video is about my opinions on survivors should be ranked. I would like to mention Sad Clown isn't in here. I made this, season 18, I think? I forgot my password for this website, so I can't log in and fix it. But, we'll mention it. We'll talk about him. I do want this to be kind of a shorter tier list video, and I want to have just one that's kind of like, 15, 20 minutes? Maybe 25, with shorter explanations for each characters. I mean, it's bound to be longer. It's gonna be a long video regardless, but I'm going to have timestamps in the description, so you can just skip to what character you're interested in watching about. Without further ado, trying to make this as short as I can. Let's just straight into it. Little girl, let's put her in A tier. She used to be S tier on release. She would just leech onto a mercenary after he rescued her. It was terrible, but she's not allowed to do that anymore. That bumps her down a little bit. Also, they nerfed the page distance. She makes pretty good distance, but it's not as much as it used to anymore. And that's why she's lower down here. She can teleport all the way across the map. She secures a tie. Pretty self-explanatory. That's insane. Lucky Guy is in C tier. I don't think he's, the worst survivor in this game, but he's really, really bad. He's nothing special. You have a coordinator gun, but the coordinator does 30% more stun time and sits on the chair longer. Lucky Guy just stuns it for 3 seconds. Yes, you do have the football wand combo, which is really nice, but none of the items are guaranteed. And plus, Lucky Guy relies on the chest system to be good. And ever since the chest system got nerfed, it's been garbage. It's not great. Why would you play Lucky Guy and get 1 perfume when you can play Perfumer and have 3 perfumes, The next survivor on the tier list is Doctor. The thing with Doctor is that Doctor just isn't good against this meta. She's not really a consistent enough character. Her ability is really hit or miss. Doctor gets really hard countered by Blink and hunters that hit through walls. So basically, Dream Witch has a bunch of blinks. Sculptor can hit through walls, Penguin can hit through walls, Wheel can snap you through the wall. She's just really bad against the meta. And also, using Doctor, people hide behind pallets to heal with her, but that puts you in a weird situation where you're not transitioning away. So you either transition away and don't use your item as much as you would, or you just sit there and get blinked on. And it's kind of a weird losing situation that's not too great. Priestess is an S tier survivor for obvious reasons. So the thing with Priestess is she has this amazing support. She has good rescue. She has good kiting. She's kind of like the whole deal. She's also good at healing. Priestess is basically the better version of Doctor in a way. She's the best basement rescuer in the game. She has amazing support. So let's say you have a mind's eye kiting in hospital. Priestess portals can make that kite significantly longer. She also secures ties with the world portal, which is really strong. So yeah, pretty all-around good survivor. She also has that rescuing portal tricks, which is really nice. Mind's Eye is a D tier survivor, and the biggest issue is that the hunter can hear where her cane is coming from. This is a huge issue because Mind's Eye, her playstyle, you have to base it around hiding from the hunter, because if you get found as a Mind's Eye, you're gonna go down pretty quickly. Mind's Eye spends most of the game hiding rather than decoding, but in reality, she's going to be decoding to make up for the time she was hiding. She has nothing to offer to her team while she's on chair, so if we compare her to Mechanic, who has a similar anti-kite type of playstyle, Mechanic has something to offer to her team while Mind's Eye doesn't. So if she uses that cane and the hunter finds her in 2 seconds, that's gonna be a really fast down and there's nothing you can do about it. Entomologist is an A tier survivor. The thing is, she's really map dependent and she's dead to Blood Queen. She's really good on maps like church, places where you can put your bees in doorways, which force the hunter to walk through them. She is a basic hit survivor for a little bit too long though. She's a really good kiter, but the issue is she's way too map dependent. Priestess is also a map dependent survivor, but Entomologist has less maps that she's good on, while Priestess has 1 or 2 maps that she's not the best on. For example, Arms Factory. Entomologist, really good against Axe Boy as well. Really good character, really solid, just dead to Blood Queen, really map dependent, and that's kind of sad. Coordinator! I think Coordinator is a super balanced character in this game. Just the issue is with Coordinator that she's just not good against today's meta. Now, today's meta consists of hunters that hit through walls and can hit you from afar. The best thing about Coordinator is her gun gives her teammates a chance to rebound kite. She has fast decoding, she sits on chair longer. People will say, oh, well, Coordinator gets countered by excitement. That's true, but if you don't use your gun until after the hunter uses excitement, and it's just a waiting game between you and the hunter is going to be stuck with excitement the whole game. So they're just stuck with a useless trait the whole game, and that's a really nice thing about Coordinator. Perfumer, I think Perfumer is still A tier. The biggest thing about Perfumer is that she gets kind of countered by chip hunters. I say kind of because you can use those perfumes to absorb those chips, which you shouldn't really be taking basic hits from chip hunters. If you get in a sticky situation to say like a sculptor or a penguin, you just have to perfume and that's really nice. But then again, she does get countered by those chip hunters. It kind of goes both ways. The other thing is that she is a presence feeder, but if you have a perfumer do a kite and she uses all of her perfumes, that's basically a 3-cipher kite. To win, you need 3-cipher kites pretty much. She's a really good kiter. Yeah, she's all around really solid survivor, really good kiting, pretty good rescuing. Pretty great. Okay, this is not biased, but Mercenary, I think he's the second best rescuer in this whole game, Forward being first. But Mercenary is one of the most consistent rescuers in this game. Why? Well, he can almost always get those rescues off. He has those elbow pads, he's unchaseable. Really good basement rescuer, really good kiter. Not a great decoder, but he does so well in so many fields that it makes up for his loss of decode, which is something that Wildling suffers with. That's why Wildling's not a good survivor. If you hang on to an elbow pad in late game, at least one, you're basically an unchaseable target. Like, if you're decoding the gate and the hunter teleports on you, basically all you have to do is elbow pad off that gate and you're gone. There's nothing the hunter can really do about it. The delayed health is really helpful. All around, really good survivor. If you terror shock the dude, he can still get that rescue off. I mean, there's not much to say. Everybody's already said all of this about Mercenary, so I'm just gonna move on. But he's a really good rescuer and he's S tier. Lawyer is definitely a tournament survivor. He's a lot better in tournament, and I think that's an underrated opinion. In rank, not so much in general. He does have a really good hiding ability. He can see where the hunter is. That's something that Traveler also has, so when you go into the book, you can see where the hunter is. Lawyer also can do that. You just hide your tracks and avoid the hunter. That's really nice. His decode's alright. But the biggest thing about Lawyer is that he can't get terror shocked. That makes him a better rescuer than like half of these characters. The best thing about Lawyer, if there's a penguin, all you have to do is run in there, rescue the survivor, and run out. It's really nice. He's kind of like Mind's Eye, but a little better if you have voice chat. He's not the worst, he's not the best, but he's definitely better in a tournament setting. Barmaid is a C tier survivor. I feel like I have a different ideal for what C and B are, but I think that Barmaid really suffers. Another thing, Doctor and Barmaid, they both get countered by Blink. They both get countered by things that hit them through walls. If you hit the Barmaid and they use their Devlin, all you have to do is blink on them, and then they've wasted their item. They have nothing to work with. The nice thing about Barmaid is that she can heal a rescuer. She can heal people without having to go through the process of actually healing them. We now have a better survivor that can do that with a lot less time. Psychologist is really what Barmaid should have been. The drink takes a really long time to heal, if we're thinking about that being her whole ability. So since it is her whole ability, I do feel like it should have been a lot quicker, but they've already released a survivor that basically does what Barmaid does, but better. I don't really like Barmaid, so not much to say there. First Officer, he's B tier. I think First Officer isn't the best rescuer. His ability feels more like a kiting ability to me. The Watch Tide Turner is nice, but you really shouldn't be getting stuffed in the first place. The biggest thing is that First Officer doesn't have that other rescuers do have is when you use your item as a rescuer, say you're a forward or a mercenary or a coordinator, usually you're not taking a gamble whether you are going to get your item off or not. So let's say mercenary, you use your elbow pad, you're going to get that distance, you're getting what you put in for. Let's say Gravedigger, like you use your item, you can't get hit. It's just a one and done thing, while First Officer is more of a luck-based gamble sort of thing. Patient, main thing with Patient is that Patient is just really, really good at taking distance away from the hunter. His item makes really good distance without sacrificing a hit most of the time. For example, survivors like Perfumer, he can just use those items to get to these broken kiting areas. Not to mention that he's an awesome rescuer. You go to the chair, you can hook off the chair, or you can hook to the chair. Kind of like Mercenary, but without the delayed health damage and airborne. He also works really well with Psychologists with that bonding ability, and Psychologist is another rank viable survivor. He's good at kiting, he's good at rescuing, and he also goes well as Psychologist, so that's pretty good. Hey guys, Future Red here. So Novelist did just get a buff that kind of moved him up a rank because I just trashed on him for something that he just got fixed. So I will move him up a tier because he's not as bad and that buff was pretty good, but he still isn't a great survivor. If you're in a team with people who know what they're doing, they aren't going to need to switch with you. Yeah, the speed boost is nice, but you're probably rarely going to get value out of it. He's a survivor that starts with no ability. All the hunter has to do is use their ability and blink hit him, so he's still not great. The switching with the hunter, in retrospect, it does look nice, but all the hunter really has to do is just kind of lead you into a bad kiting area, which will inevitably put you into your death. Enchantress! Enchantress used to be an S tier survivor back in the day. Enchantress used to be able to get stuns through platforms. It was cool. Enchantress has a similar issue to Novelist, where Novelist starts with nothing and he has really nothing to support himself, and you're just kiting with nothing. But Enchantress also starts with nothing until she gets hit. Every hunter in this game starts with an ability or gets it fairly quickly, like Blood Queen. So, for example, Blood Queen just mirrors you and then blinks on you. You're going to get hit regardless because that stun time is really, really short. In later game, she does have a really solid kiting ability, but again, it's just not enough for her to be as consistent of a character. Forward. Now, Forward is the best character in this game. He's the best rescuer in this game. He's the best harasser in this game. He's great. He does struggle in decode, but because he's so good at rescuing, kiting, harassing, it makes up for it. That's why, again, Wildling's not a good survivor. I'm going to compare them. Wildling is just booty cheek. I'm sorry. Put your pitchforks away. Okay, jokes aside, Forward's amazing. All the survivor has to do is when they get down, they go next to a wall, and the Forward's like, I'm gonna save you, and then the hunter just can't safely pick that survivor up, and once the hunter leaves to go hit that Forward, the Forward just footballs away. When the hunter comes back to pick that survivor back up again, the Forward's back and ready. He's one of the most consistent rescuers in this game. Like, all he has to do, if he doesn't want to go through all that trouble of rescuing against a penguin, all he has to do is just football in and stun the hunter on the chair. And you get a free rescue. It's awesome. He also pairs really well with Mechanic, who is a good survivor as well. I'm not going to say what everybody else has said. Again, this is an S tier survivor. Everybody's talked about it. But Forward's really good survivor. Best survivor in the game. Best rescuer in the game. Great character. Dancer. I think Dancer's a solid B tier survivor. She's not great because she's really, really, really map dependent. She's great on Arms Factory. She's great on some structures like Hospital, because when she drops down, she has this ability where she gets the speed boost, which is really nice because she can use those music boxes at that pallets and just keep looping. But the issue is with that spin, it's really inconsistent of an ability. There will be a leaf like on the map floor and she will probably get caught on that. I don't know. It's not great enough. Good survivors need to be consistent. She just gets countered by all the hunters that are being used, like Naiad, Sculptor, Penguin. Naiad can just loop around the pallet she's looping, and then the Dancer really has nothing to do. What's she gonna use? That really inconsistent jump ability? But the meta also is very good at countering tight kiting survivors, so that's why Dancer isn't that great of a survivor. Postman. So Postman is definitely not a ranked survivor in my opinion. More of a tournament survivor, definitely. The thing with Postman is none of the letters are guaranteed, so you really don't know what letter you're gonna get sometimes. And the decode letter is really what you're playing Postman for. That's why people put Postman up here. They use Postman in replace of your decoder. So none of his letters are really strong, except the decode letter. Or maybe the hatch letter. I mean, that can be helpful, but people really only play Postman for the decode letter. But he is a basic hit survivor for a long time. He's good at transition kiting, which is really good against this meta. He can get that distance down with that dog. He's definitely a tournament survivor. Use that decode letter, guys. I just wish it was more consistent of a system, so you know you're not getting, like, the rescue letter, because, like, who needs the rescue letter? Mechanic. Spoiler. Okay, so Mechanic has been an S tier survivor for a really long time. This is gonna get me canceled, my god. Okay. Amazing decoder. I think she's the best decoder in this game. But the issue is, Mechanic back in the day used to be able to finish like 2 ciphers with her bot and maybe the exit gate if it was nearby. She's not enough of a consistent winning survivor anymore. She's a tie survivor. That's why she's not really as rank viable as she used to be. She's more of a tournament character because she can get those ties off. It's awesome that she can decode on chair. That's a really strong ability, but nowadays she can really only finish like 1.5 extra ciphers with that robot and maybe the gate. She just doesn't get as much value as she used to with that robot. She's more tournament viable than rank. Ties are not the end of the world in rank, but the rank system really revolves around winning and losing, not draws. If you look at your win rate, it doesn't get affected by draws. Yes, you get character points, but they're not enough. Losses and wins are the ones that really shift the rank system. So in rank, you want to be playing those survivors that will ensure those wins. In Mechanic, while she used to be able to secure those wins, just not anymore. She secures ties now. She's a good survivor, but she's not a good winning consistent survivor anymore. Gardener. So Gardener... Okay, how do I say this? Gardener's not a great survivor. So, Gardener's ability is to break chairs, which in retrospect, it's nice. Like, I'm going to go break that chair in Dead Corner of Hospital because that chair sucks and I don't want to rescue on it, which awesome. That's great. You need to be decoding really rather than breaking chairs. Please don't break a chair in front of the hunter with the bubble. They will pick up the survivor and then hit you. And you will get damage, and you will not be able to rescue, and it will snowball out of control, I promise you. It's like 99% of the time, good hunters will not be fooled by that. In fact, like 100% of the time. She gets like this bubble when she stands still for 2 seconds, and she's like, oh, that's nice, but really it's not, because Penguin, Sculptor, they will just like chip you out of that bubble and they will hit you, or they can just wait for it to go away, because it's only 5 seconds, so that's... Also, when you're kiting, you really don't want to be standing still. Even when you're, like, trying to vault windows, put your character in circles so you don't get a slow vault and stuff. You really don't want to be standing still while you're kiting. That's why Gardener's not a great survivor. All of those reasons combined. 3 hit at the beginning, cool. That's pretty good, but then again, Psychologist has that for the whole game. So, okay, Acrobat's an A-tier survivor. Bro, I love Acrobat so much. This is such a fun survivor. He can now move with his juggling balls, which was huge. Why wasn't that thing on release? I have no idea. He also has this roll when he uses that bomb, which he can get some pretty good distance with it. I'm sure you all have seen the god-awful Acrobat jump spot guide that I made last year. It was so bad. Don't watch it. But he can get over these areas where these hunters will not be able to get through. You can jump across one of the stops onto Slide on Moonlit, and the hunter's just like, oh, shoot, I was gonna try to terror shock you, bro. You just drop that mud bomb in a doorway, and the hunter has no choice but to go through it unless they blink. But that would be a really bad use of blink most of the time, and then you're just getting blink out. So he gets so much distance with those juggling balls now, which is really big. Bloody Queen just destroys most survivors in this game. He kind of counters Blood Queen, kind of not. It really depends on how the Blood Queen placed her mirror or how you placed your bomb. But he gets some really good distance. He can get a lot of value out of those abilities. He's a really solid survivor. He's a really good kiter. Really good kiter. Oh god, Wildling. Oh. Wildling's the worst rescuer in this. So, Wildling was used in tournament to get one person out of the game. But if you're getting one person out of the game in rank, that's a loss, and that sucks. The harassing on the board is really bad. His decode is really bad. His rescue isn't that good. His kiting is good. But then again, that board's gonna get really bad over time, and who would chase a Wildling early game? No respectable hunter would. I'm really sorry. Like, sure, you can get to chair unharmed. You really shouldn't be getting seen far from chair. So I guess it is nice, but you do have to get off that pig, and you are stuck in an animation where you're getting off the pig. The hunter can just use their ability and stuff you. He's also not great at basement rescues. Like, if you use the pig to get into the basement safely, you have nothing to get out of the basement with because your cooldown is forever. The pig just progressively gets worse over time. His decode is so slow and he has nothing to make up for it. They just nerfed Wildling over and over and over again. That poor pig, bro. Seer is an S tier survivor. The Seer nerf hit pretty hard, where he does not have that 15-second. I'm pretty sure it was 15 seconds where the Seer would use the owl on someone, and if it didn't get off, they would just be able to like transition and take it to factory, take it to hospital, take it to whatever broken kiting area. Again, Seer makes survivors 3 hits. Seer makes himself 3 hits. He gets that owl at the beginning of the game. This is what Enchantress and Novelist struggle with. He's a great support character. Please ping help me if you need a Seer owl. We cannot do it on our own. We can, but it makes it 500 times easier, I promise. You can use that Seer support to just transition away, go up to hospital, go off somewhere. He can also see the hunter at the beginning of the game. Really good if you're in voice chat, really good in tournament. Great survivor. Gravedigger, man. As much as I really do want to put Gravedigger in S tier. I really love Gravedigger. He's an amazing second rescuer. He's an amazing rescuer in general. Please use Gravedigger in rank, you guys, if Mercenary is banned or Horde's banned. But Gravedigger, I'm going to say Gravedigger is an A tier survivor for the same reason Perfumer. People say he gets countered by chip hunters. Again, you shouldn't be taking basic hits from chip hunters, and you can use that shovel. And the nice thing about Gravedigger is you just keep going. Perfumer makes you go back, but Gravedigger, you keep going. Like, you keep running. You get out of that shovel, and you're just like, I'm out of here, man. It's pretty good against chip hunters, but then again, it also gets countered by chip hunters. It's inconsistent, but he's still a really, really good survivor. Amazing basement rescuer. Amazing basement rescuer. He can also use those shovels to go under pallets. People will argue, oh, well, when you use Gravedigger, you throw down some really important pallets and you use your shovel because you're trying to kite under those pallets, but you don't have to throw down the really important pallet, I promise you. You can use those shovels to get so much containing time. It's like, he's really good in late game as well when you're trying to get someone out of gate and you're like, oh, I still have a shovel left, I'm going to go get it. He's a good kiter, he's a good rescuer. Psychologist is an A tier survivor. Okay, her ability is basically, she can take 3 hits. She can heal people from across the map. That's humongous. Like, if you're a rescuer, got hit early game, you can use that whistle and your mercenary is back to full health and he's ready to make that rescue when he is needed. She can also prevent snowballing when a hunter gets hits on characters and it just kind of accumulates over time because nobody ever has time to heal. Psychologist can fix that. She can use that whistle and she can prevent snowballing. She's also a really good rescuer. She is a 3-hit survivor, so it is impossible to stuff a psychologist unless you can terror shock her. She struggles a little bit with Penguin, and once she's kiting, she really has no ability to support herself that much because she can't take 3 hits, but she doesn't have like elbow pads or something. But if you're a good kiter, you'll be fine. You'll be fine with Psychologist because she can take 3 hits and that guarantees a longer kiting time. So Psychologist is a pretty good survivor. Okay, Toy Merchant is a really good tournament survivor. Honestly, she's not that bad in rank if you have the right communication. Since this is more of a rank-themed-ish tier list, I'm gonna put her in B tier. But she is a really good support character. Not the best, but she is pretty good. You can use that glider to get to some pretty broken areas. But the thing is, like, not all maps have 2-story buildings, which kind of makes her a little bit map dependent. But again, catapult's not the worst thing in the world. You do have to place those catapults perfectly for them to go right. So if a survivor uses it and doesn't have the gliding ability, they could like run into the wall, which I've seen happen way too much, by the way. The ability where she gets an item at the beginning of the game, very rarely seen good use of that ability in a rank setting where you don't have that much communication. Again, she's kind of map dependent. There are better supporters out there. She requires a lot of communication, and that's something you just don't have in a rank setting. So, good tournament survivor, not as great in rank, but she's alright. Okay, Prospector. Prospector's a good survivor. He's a good kiter. Alright at supporting. Balloon rescuing is, we don't talk about it. He's just a pretty good survivor in general. He can kite pretty well. Prospector, not much to really say about the dude. He's a pretty good supporter. The thing with Prospector, those magnets are pretty easy to break. The hunter can just blink on you. The hunter can also use those magnets to their advantage to get a double hit on you. The Prospector could like drop a magnet next to the chair and you hit that Prospector, and while the magnet is in the process of repelling you, it cancels your animation and you hit them again. So that is really annoying. Please be careful about your magnets because that can happen and it happens way too much. And yeah, not much to say about the dude. He's pretty good. Alright, Traveler is a solid B-tier survivor. The issue with Traveler is that the ability is a bit inconsistent. Why is it inconsistent? Well, you really don't know where the map is going to be placed at the beginning of the game. It might be really close to you, or it might be really far away, and it's not good if it's far away because you will be taking all that time to walk to it, all that time to be walking back to a cipher, and you're losing decode from that. He can see where the hunter is at the beginning of the game, which is great. That makes his hiding ability really useful. He kind of, in a way, can counter teleport a bit. The hunter will not be able to see the shaking cipher because the traveler will finish the cipher with the page before it starts shaking. Prisoner and traveler are actually really good together. If you decode a connected cipher with prisoner and it's like actually connected and you use your page on it, the page will take the full percentage on both of the ciphers. It's kind of broken. Don't know if that's supposed to work, but it does. He's just a bit luck based, so that's inconsistency. You know, my favorite word is inconsistent in this tier list, but you know, oh well. Alright, next is Thief. Thief is D tier. He basically gets countered by moonwalking, which most hunters can do. So not really gonna talk too much about it because there's not much to say because he's that easy to counter. Yes, you can get that stun when the hunter is like breaking a pallet or vaulting a window, but you're not transitioning away when you could be. You are getting extra stun time, but then again, you're just not really gaining much from it, so it's not that efficient. Wow, that was really short. Moving on. Painter, not much to say here, because his ability is quite simple and the reasoning is quite simple. That painting, if you use it correctly, the reason I say correctly is because this is why he's also not S tier. Painter can get countered by hunters if they just look away from the painting, and he also gets countered by Blood Queen. If the painter uses that painting correctly, the hunter sometimes is forced to look at it, and that stun time is pretty efficient. It's a pretty good stun, and the painter will use that time to transition away. If you place that painting correctly, the hunter will be forced to look at it, and they will be dragged away. It's not like Enchantress where you just stun them. Sometimes the hunter will have to walk all the way to that painting. It's kind of like a dragging away thing. It sucks for them because they have to walk all the way back. All he really has to do is record the hunter's face. Even if he's not being chased, he just has that painting ready. And so you could even place that down next to a cipher, like last cipher or something, or on gate. So when the hunter teleports on you, you have that painting there and you can get some distance away with it. Alright, next is Embalmer. Embalmer's a solid B tier survivor. Ever since his buff, after he uses his coffin, he gets this like bubble around him. But hunters will use teleport or just use their ability to get to you, and they will wait for that bubble to go away, or they just hit you and then blink on you. It's kind of inevitable unless you place that coffin in a really, really solid kiting area. It's really annoying that the coffin takes up your chair timer. Sometimes you do need it. You can secure ties with the coffin. That is why he is used in later rounds in tournament. Yeah, a tie isn't the end of the world in rank, but again, you do want to be winning. Embalmer, not the best, not the worst at all. That bubble is nice, but again, you can easily get hit out of it. Even like Sculptor, Penguin can chip you out of it. Same issue with Gardener. It's literally the same shield, so. Alright, next is Cowboy. I'd say he's a solid B tier survivor. His harassing isn't that great. Sometimes the Cowboy will be able to get that off, but usually not most of the time when you're rescuing balloon survivors. Rescuing from chair is really nice because you can easily rescue off of Penguin. He can use that lasso to jump over the hunter, grip onto pallets, which makes him a pretty solid kiter because, again, he's transitional kiting. He's transition kiting with that speed boost that he's getting from looping onto those pallets. He does have a slower decode, which you already have better harassers, better transition kiters that do not have decode debuffs or all these other debuffs. You would usually pick them over Cowboy. But again, pretty good kiter. You need 3 separate kites to win this game. Overall, he's pretty situational. So his harassing is inconsistent. That's why he's but he's not the worst. On the other end though, Batter. Batter is a really, really good harasser. He's an amazing survivor. He basically can harass unlimitedly. If the hunter doesn't break his cricket balls, he can really help his teammates transition kite. He can really help his teammates escape balloons. He can really help rescues. He's really good at supporting his teammates. Really good at kiting. Pretty good at rescuing. When forward is banned, Batter is a really, really, really good replacement because forward and Batter are both really good harassers. I would love to have a Batter fill the forward's place any day forward is banned. Alright, Prisoner's B tier. So the thing with Prisoner is, in rank, you really are relying on your teammates knowing how the box works. And in rank, with these random teammates that you may not know, they may not let you get as much value as you could out of Prisoner. Also, that stun isn't great. Sure, you do delay a hit, but if you use it incorrectly, you will get hit again in 2 seconds. A reminder, if you use your stun efficiently, you can lengthen your kites if you use it correctly. Also with Prisoner, the nice thing about Prisoner is you can finish the rescuer's cipher after they leave the cipher. But if someone's doing a 3-cipher kite, you're not going, the rescuer will probably finish their cipher. So that's really on occasion. Another thing about Prisoner, you do kind of lose decode with Prisoner. If you're decoding something across the map, it's like the last cipher. If you're trying to decode a cipher from across the map, there's really no guarantee that that cipher is going to be popped, and in the end, you've lost decode on a cipher you're not even going to get done. So, because the hunter is going to be pressuring that cipher, and all they have to do is turn off that connection box, and most of the time, because it's the primed cipher, the hunter is going to be nearby. But it is nice that he gives his rescuers decode buffs, nice that he can finish rescuer ciphers. He's okay at kiting, he's really not great. He's a decoder, so that's not really what I care about, because as a decoder, you need to be able to decode well. So he needs to be amazing at decoding because he's a decoder, not amazing at kiting. Magician, I do like Magician. Magician used to be a good survivor because he countered Clown. Clown, it's not a great hunter anymore. Magician just doesn't see as much valuable use because there are all these hunters that do counter him. You find Magician countering less hunters. Some things you can do with the Magician wand, you can block the doorway, you can sometimes block a hit, but if it's a sculptor or a penguin, sometimes that's not going to work out, because if it's a chip hunter, you're not taking basic hits, you're taking statue hits. He's an alright character, but there are a lot of characters that do so much better with the meta. Okay, Sad Clown, he's not on this tier list, so I'm just going to put him here. I think Sad Clown is a C tier survivor. That rocket, you can transitional kite with that, and you can help your teammates kite with it, but again, you really don't want to be having 2 people kiting most of the time unless you're like the harasser, and Weeping Clown isn't even that great of a harasser to begin with. His harassment's not that great. It's really, really, really situational and really risky sometimes. It's nice that he can just transitional kite, but he does get countered by a lot of hunters. He's really inconsistent with Blood Queen because, again, just like Acrobat, it really depends on the timing, and sometimes you aren't going to be able to predict where that mirror is going to be placed and when that mirror is going to be placed, even if you're looking back at the hunter. So yeah, he just gets countered by a lot of things. You can transitional kite with it, but again, statues can hit you out of it, bombs can hit you out of it. In retrospect, it's nice because transition kiting is one of the strongest styles in this game right now based on this meta, but unfortunately, it's not a strong way of transitional kiting. Alright, sorry for boring you with this terrible tier list that's probably going to get me cancelled. I really don't care though, because it's my opinions and I'm going to say what I want to on my channel. If you do disagree with something, please let me know in the comments. I love to see people's arguments and people's reasonings. That's why ranking survivors is fun, because you get to see so many other perspectives on these characters, and it can change the way you view them. Again, just please be respectful to other people. If you disagree with someone in the comments, if you disagree with me in the comments, I really don't care if you disagree with me. I think that's wonderful. Yeah, that was kind of the quote-unquote short tier list. I will be posting shortly after this. I will be posting the results of the community poll that I took the other day, just so if you guys are interested like I was, to see what the community would come up with, what they think of these survivors. So this is just my view. Have a good day. Don't do dumb things, and yeah. Bye. Thank you.